一路，
是101不经过这儿再开出来。这是记录105后面的，这前面那应该是103吧？
前面那是
哎，看，
有人下去了，压下去了。
你看啊，你看，
上车的嘛全
塌的还挺
要炸了。一路，
是101不经过这儿这是记录105后面的，这前面那应该是103吧？
前面那是
哎，看，
有人下去了，压下去了。
你看啊，你看，
上车的嘛全
塌的还挺
要炸了。
They're two of the most famous siblings in the world, William and Harry, walking through life together, inseparable as children, laughing alongside their mother Diana, sharing in their grief at her funeral. They grew up in the spotlight, leaning on one another, standing side by side at each other's weddings, eventually welcoming children of their own. Their bond seemed unbreakable. But now, apparently, they're a family divided. A little. Last week, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex went public with their bombshell plan to leave their posts as senior royals.
Royal bombshell.
The growing fallout from Harry and Meghan's royal exit.
Did the Queen know this was coming?
The news sparking an international frenzy, the British press dubbing it Megxit. Now all eyes on the royal family. As an unprecedented summit, called for by the Queen, took place today at Her Majesty's private home in Sandringham. Prince Charles, William and Harry all in attendance, Meghan still in Canada with baby Archie.
He's a father now. His priority is his wife and his son. And what I think we're seeing here is he's putting them first.
It's still early days, but for now it seems the family has reached a tentative agreement, the Queen voicing her support, but admitting it was not what she wanted, issuing this statement. Although we would have preferred them to remain full-time working members of the royal family, we respect and understand their wish to live a more independent life as a family while remaining a valued part of my family. Harry and Meghan have made clear that they do not want to be reliant on public funds in their new lives. It has therefore been agreed that there will be a period of transition in which the Sussexes will spend time in Canada and the UK.
Volcanic lightning shoots up into huge ash clouds charged with static electricity. It's just the opening act of what could be one of nature's most dramatic shows. The Taal volcano last erupted more than 40 years ago. Now as steam gushes above and earthquakes rumble below, experts say another massive eruption could be just hours away.
Ash and steam spew 1 kilometre into the air as the Taal volcano explodes south of the Philippine capital Manila. Authorities here say there's been a fast escalation of volcanic activity, and they've warned it could erupt lava within weeks. Ash rained down on several villages and cities nearby and kilometres away, prompting a mass evacuation. Thousands of people have been told to leave their homes.
When the volcano emitted steam, we ran away up here. The road was crowded. Thick ash and pebbles were falling.
The volcano has created its own weather system, and tremors have been felt nearby. It's not known when people will be able to return.
We are evacuating. We left all of our belongings behind. Everyone has left.
We were afraid and in panic. We were thinking of how we could save our lives.
Tens of thousands of people living in nearby towns have been evacuated. Rain mixed with volcanic ash has coated the roads in thick mud, making driving treacherous.
It's difficult to get food because we can't use the vehicle since it's muddy, and we can't even clean it since there's no water.
Ash is affecting the capital Manila, 60 kilometres north. Face masks are in short supply. At the airport, hundreds of flights have been cancelled. While some tourists are trying to leave, others are getting up close to the volcano.
As long as I'm President of the United States, Iran will never be allowed to have a nuclear weapon. Good morning. I'm pleased to inform you the American people should be extremely grateful and happy. No Americans were harmed in last night's attack by the Iranian regime.
The fallout continues over the killing of Iranian Quds Force General Qasem Soleimani. The U.S. preemptively gearing up some 3,000 troops to head to the Middle East in the coming days as Tehran threatens American targets as retaliation. The president tweeting up a storm to justify this unilateral action, receiving mixed reaction from a surprised Congress. His latest tweet, a proclamation that Iran will never get a nuclear weapon. And in a move that has shaken the world and U.S. allies, Iran flat out saying they will no longer abide by any terms of the 2015 JCPOA, causing NATO to call ambassadors in for an urgent meeting in Brussels over this Iran-Iraq crisis. Meanwhile, thousands taking to the streets to mourn the fallen general in a nationwide observance as the supreme leader openly weeps the loss of his confidant. Big three, Great Britain, France, and Germany have announced they are invoking a dispute provision of the 2015 JCPOA, better known as the Iran nuclear deal. It's a bid, they say, to try to save what's left of this landmark Obama-era agreement. Now, the resolution mechanism is the most serious option under the terms of this deal that'll be put before a panel of all nations a party to this deal. Great Britain, France, Germany are taking up this complaint against Iran, who says they will no longer abide by the terms of the JCPOA following the assassination of General Qasem Soleimani. But they say this is not a part of a maximum pressure campaign against Iran that President Trump is pushing for. How do you read this move?
Well, these European powers are supporting the JCPOA as the rope supports the hanging man. They are purportedly seeking to save it, whilst at the same time attempting to kill it. In fact, Boris Johnson, as you might expect, is right out front. He says if the JCPOA has to go and that Britain's under pressure to disassociate itself from it, then a Trump deal will have to replace it, which again, on the face of it, might be a solution, except we don't know what the Trump deal would likely to be, whether it would be remotely acceptable to Iran and others, and whether it's just an attempt to, as Pompeo said today, to turn Iran into Norway. Good luck with that.
The world's cameras focused on the royal family. Inside the Queen's country estate, high-level crisis talks are set to take place. The Queen, future monarchs Prince Charles and Prince William meeting with Harry. Meghan, already in Canada, may join on the phone. A frail Prince Philip also spotted at Sandringham this morning. The Queen keeping calm and carrying on at church on Sunday as the palace works on a deal allowing Harry and Meghan to step back from senior royal life and take on a new financially independent role.
They are trying to negotiate because they appreciate there's going to be a situation where there are going to be two very high-profile members of the royal family operating a secondary royal family outside of the main institution.
Harry and Meghan's sudden announcement leaving more questions than answers. Today's talks will reportedly focus on Harry and Meghan's royal titles. Will they keep them? Their royal duties. How much work will they still do on behalf of the Queen? Their finances. Will the Queen and Prince Charles still provide financial support? And what kind of deals Harry and Meghan will be able to take after becoming financially independent? Harry, the most popular royal after the Queen, and his American wife Meghan announced they wanted to step back as senior royals last week and, quote, carve out a progressive new role. The cracks in the royal family armor started appearing last year while Harry and Meghan were on a tour of Africa. Harry telling Britain's ITV he's still haunted by the death of his mother.
Every single time I see a camera, every single time I hear a click, every single time I see a flash, it takes me straight back.
Meghan dropping her own hints about not feeling supported by her new royal family.
Not many people have asked if I'm okay.
The royal rift making headlines again this morning. Over the weekend, a friend of Prince William's talked to the Sunday Times about the prince's relationship with his younger brother. William reportedly telling the friend, "I've put my arm around my brother all our lives. I can't do it anymore."
Things are quite broken, but from what I'm told, William is very keen to see and try and he can support Harry and Meghan in their new lifestyle, the new path that they take.
Very well, and the reality is she's absolutely is a pragmatist. Let's just get this resolved.
Just ahead of today's meeting, a glimpse of unity. Prince William and Harry releasing their first statement since the announcement, pushing back against rumours that William bullied Harry out of the royal family. For brothers who care so deeply about the issues surrounding mental health, the use of inflammatory language in this way is offensive and potentially harmful. Where Harry and Meghan have ended up is a far cry from how it all began. A royal wedding watched by millions, but it's not been the fairy tale once imagined.
They have been given a lot of freedom by royal standards, but there are some things that they just have to, some rules that they have to abide by. And I think she just has found that restricting, difficult, and now wants out.
The couple's decision coming after months of rumoured rifts inside the palace and growing tensions outside with the press. All this seemingly pushing the pair to their breaking point. In retrospect, some say there were clues, pointing to that 10-day royal tour of Africa last fall. At the time, the couple opening up to ITV's Tom Bradby in a documentary, Harry and Meghan, An African Journey. Harry addressing ongoing reports of tension with his brother William.
How much of that is true? Stuff happens, but look, we're brothers, we'll always be brothers.
In that same documentary, Meghan spoke to Bradby about her private struggle to fit in.
It's not enough to just survive something, right? Like, that's not the point of life. You've got to thrive, you've got to feel happy, and I think I really tried to adopt this British sensibility of a stiff upper lip.
It has its, advantages, I guess.
I really tried, but I think that what that does internally is probably really damaging.
And Harry, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, also making headlines today. The Queen confirms that they will spend part of their time, at least in this transition period, in Canada. Has the Canadian government been involved in negotiating that and helping make that happen?
We haven't up until this point, not in any real way, but there will be many discussions to come on how that works that will go about between officials at different levels.
So because they are royals, your government would play some role, right, in them coming, if they come here?
Indeed. But there's still a lot of decisions to be taken by the royal family, by the Sussexes themselves, as to what level of engagement they choose to have. And these are things that we are obviously supportive of their reflections, but have responsibilities in that as well.
Are we going to pay the security costs for them?
That is part of the reflection that needs to be had, and there are discussions going on.
So we're not sure yet about where all that will land?
We're not entirely sure what the final decisions will be, where the dispositions are, and those are decisions for them. I think most Canadians are very supportive of having royals be here, but how that looks and what kind of costs is involved, there's still lots of discussions to have.
Yeah, but you would welcome them in Canada should they choose to go.
I think there is a general feeling of appreciation for the Sussexes.